Hello, today we're going to be focusing on the hips and engaging the muscles around them to safely get deeper into the stretches. So when you're ready, I'll meet you on your mat. So today we'll start lying down, so there's no rush to get there. Moving through anything on the way. And here you can just come to stillness, you can have a bit of a move around. Just see what feels good to you. And just trying to take a moment to check in. Notice how you're feeling, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally. And trying not to label anything good or bad. Just do your best just to notice what's there. In your own time, bringing the knees in towards the chest. We're just going to put one hand on top of each knee, just lightly, you don't have to really grab them. And then here, starting to make some circles with the knees, going in opposite directions, and starting to ease through the hips. And the circles can be small, they can be big, but just try and slow them down, so however slow you're going, seeing if you can slow them down even more. Here we're just trying to get a little bit of movement into the hips. Maybe finding a bit of a stretch, but you don't have to. And just trying to soften across the chest, the shoulders, through the feet. Just bringing your attention into your body. And from here starting to change direction. Keeping it slow. Here you could focus on your breath, on your heartbeat. You could focus on the sensation through the hips. You could notice how the hands are feeling, how the tailbone lifts and lowers. Just a few more here, finding a moment of calm. And then finishing off, bringing the knees back in towards the chest, giving them a squeeze, maybe a rock side to side if that feels nice across the back. And then bringing the feet flat on the floor, knees pointing up, feet about hip width. And here just letting the hands fall down to the floor beside you, up above the head, wherever's comfortable for the shoulders and just allows you to release any tension that you're holding in the upper body. From here we'll go for some bridge raises, so pressing into all four corners of the feet. And then as you inhale, tucking the tailbone up and gently peeling the spine up off the floor, engaging through the glutes to lift the hips. As you exhale, peeling your way back down, lowering one vertebrae at a time. Just keeping this going, moving with your own breath. If the knees feel a little bit twingy here, feel free to shuffle the feet about. Maybe bring them closer to the hips, further away, a little bit wider, a little bit narrower. Just find what works best for your body. We'll keep this going. And just trying to make the movement last your whole inhale and exhale, so there's almost no stop points. Again, just checking in that you're not holding tension anywhere, you don't need it, so through the face, the hands, the chest, the shoulders. We'll go for a few more. Maybe building a little bit of heat through the hamstrings now as well. And then on your next one, as you inhale, coming to pause. So coming to a height that works for you today. It might be lower than usual, it might be higher, it might be where you normally are. Doesn't matter, just see what feels right today. Pressing into the feet, squeezing through the glutes. And not trying to go for so much of a back bend here, but a nice lengthening through the spine. Strong through the back body. Then on your next inhale, maybe engaging the glutes a little bit more, lifting the hips just a centimetre. Then as you exhale, peeling your way down. Take a few breaths if you like for this lowering, really taking your time. And then untucking the tailbone last. From here, bringing the knees in towards the chest, and maybe having a little kick out through the feet, loosening up through the hamstrings, maybe having a rock and roll side to side again. And then when you're ready, we'll come up into a tabletop, so however you want to get there. If you want to rock and roll along the spine, if you want to roll over to one side. And there's no rush. And when you do get into your tabletop, giving yourself a bit of time, noticing what sensations come up, maybe having a wiggle, maybe being still. But from here, we're going to bring the big toes together. And if it's comfortable to you, bringing the knees wide, so about the width of the mat. And then when you're ready, sinking the hips back into a child's pose. And just taking a few breaths here. You can stay active through the hands if you want, pressing into the palms. You can just soften the forearms down, let everything relax. You can bring the hands in, wrap them around the legs. Just take a few moments for you. And then from here, starting to find your way up into a downward dog, so reaching those hands forward, spreading through the fingers, coming through anything on the way. And then taking your time to settle in, maybe having a pedal through the feet, roll through the toes. And then when you're ready, coming to stillness, pressing through all the knuckles, lifting up out of the shoulders, wrapping the shoulder blades around the ribs so it feels like the armpits are starting to face one another. Hugging the lower ribs in, pressing down through the heels even if they're not touching the floor. From here, we'll press into the left foot, and as you inhale, right foot going high into your three-legged dog. Pausing here, trying to press through both hands equally, so you might start to press more into the left, so just readjusting. Then from here, we're going to bend the right knee, bringing the foot down towards your bum, engaging through the glutes to turn the hips out. Then from here, we'll start to make some circles with the knee, so going slow, just like we did at the beginning, and starting to ease through the hip. Still pressing through both arms equally. And if this isn't particularly fun in your downward dog, feel free to drop the left knee, come down to your tabletop. You're still going to get into your hip, which is what we're aiming for. From here, starting to change direction. Staying strong through the arms, whether you're in a tabletop or your downward dog. Nice, smooth breath. Then on your next inhale, lengthening through that right leg again, back to your three-legged dog. And then as you exhale, sending that knee forward and stepping through into a lunge. Giving yourself some time to land, maybe have a little rock around, readjust. But when you're ready, dropping that back knee, keeping back toes tucked or pointed. And just taking a moment here, finding some space in the neck, maybe lifting the hands up off the floor to open across the chest. But here, starting to squeeze through the glutes, pressing the hips forward. So you've got nice strong legs here and you're not just kind of sinking into the joints and falling down to the floor. But you've got a sense of lift and forward with the hips because you're engaging all the muscles around them. From here, we'll shift back into our runner's stretch. So sending the hips back over that left knee, lengthening through the front leg and pulling the toes towards the shin, the front toes towards the shin. And here, we want to pull back on that right hip so that it's in line with the left, which is stacked above the left knee. Here, find what works for you. If you need a bend through that front knee, that's absolutely fine. If you want to bring the hands to the shin, to the thigh, if you want to be upright. And what we're aiming for is a stretch through the back of the leg. So find where you get that, trying to be active through that front foot. If you want, you can start to fold over that leg. You can kind of keep the head neutral, spine long, or you can tuck the chin round through the spine, and this can really change the sensation of the stretch in the front leg. So see what you fancy, explore slowly, and we'll just take another couple of breaths here, so enjoying whatever sensation you've got going. From here, we're going to shift forward and back into our lunge. So when you're ready, as you inhale, starting to press back into that front foot, squeezing the glutes, pressing hips forward, opening across the chest. As you exhale, starting to shift back, lengthening through that front leg, and keeping that going. Inhale, moving forward. If you need to, you can walk the hands forward and back, or just keep them in the same place. Again, see what works for you here. Trying to keep the movement smooth. I'll go for one more. Shifting back as you exhale. And then coming forward as you inhale. Coming to pause in your lunge here. And when you're ready, tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee, setting up for your high lunge, so pressing through the feet, squeezing through the legs, nice strong base. Inhaling, lifting arms and chest. As you exhale, we're going to bring the hands down, framing the front foot. And then inhaling, we're going to send that right foot back up into your three-legged dog. Pausing here for a moment, pressing through both arms, hugging the lower ribs in. Inhaling, lifting that right foot a little higher. And then as you exhale, sending the knee to the outside of the right elbow and bringing the foot down. So here we're coming into our lizard pose, so you want to have space for both your arms and shoulders on the inside of that right leg. Just like in our lunge, you want to be squeezing through the legs and glutes, so you've got that lift and forward motion rather than just sinking down to the floor. And then here, there's lots of variations, so you can keep that back knee lifted, you can drop it down, you can untuck the back foot. You can stay up on your forearm, up on your hands here. You can come down onto your forearms. You can mix and match. Have one hand down, one forearm. See what that's like. And here we can also open up into that front hip even more. So really squeezing through the legs, through the glutes here. Then bringing the right hand over to the right knee. And then you start to rock onto the outside edge of that front foot. Starting to press the knee away, but also lengthen the spine in the opposite direction. Really important to be strong through your legs here. You can keep playing with that. And if you want, you can play with grabbing the back foot, so pressing into the left hand or forearm. From here, squeezing the foot in towards your bum. And then as you inhale, lifting the right hand up and behind you and reaching towards that back foot. You might not be able to grab it, but just squeezing in with the leg, reaching the hand back. And if you can grab hold, you can always pull it in. When you are ready, just let that go. You're just softly bringing it down to the floor. And here we'll spend a few more breaths in our lizard pose. So moving through those different variations, just choosing one. If you find that's becoming quite a lot for the hips, feel free to take a bit of a counter, maybe shifting back into that runner's stretch. You can always bring that knee in a little bit closer and just give yourself a break in a sort of kneeling position. So a few more breaths here, enjoying whatever you've got going on. And then when you're ready, we'll come back into our downward dog. So pressing through the hands, tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee, and then bringing the right foot back to meet it. And here, we're going to pause for a few breaths. So if you'd rather be in a tabletop or a child's pose, feel free to move there now. And wherever you are, just taking a few steady breaths. If you're not in your downward dog, just making your way back there now. Finding that nice stable position, feeling strong through the body. Then we'll go for that all on the other side. So starting, pressing through both arms firmly, pressing into the right foot, inhaling, left foot sweeping up into your three-legged dog. Taking a moment to find your balance here, nice and strong through both arms. And then when you're ready, bending that left knee, bring the foot down towards your bum, engaging through the glutes to open up through the hips. From here, starting to make those circles. Again, nice and slow. And again, if it's not fun in your downward dog, feel free to drop the knee. You're still easing through your hip, so find the right level of challenge for you. From here, starting to change direction. Slowing that movement down even more if you can. Checking in with the arms, trying to press into both of them equally. And then on your next inhale, coming back into that three-legged dog, sending that left foot high. And then as you exhale, sending the knee forward and stepping through into a lunge. Again, time to land, time to wiggle about. And then when you're ready, dropping that back knee, toes tucked or pointed. Finding some space for the chest, for the neck, so maybe giving those arms a shake out, bringing the hands to the knee, whatever works. When you're ready to be still, just squeezing through the glutes, pressing the hips forward. Again, so you're finding that lift and forward movement rather than just kind of sinking through the joints. And then we'll shift back into our runner's stretch. So lifting the hips, lengthening through that front leg, flexing the toes back towards the shin. And again, finding the right place for the arms if you want to bring blocks under the hands or anything like that. Could be useful. But again, stacking that right hip over the right knee, pulling back on the left hip so it's in line with the right. And we'll stay here for a few breaths, so find the right sensation for you. Again, you can kind of play with folding forward, maybe tucking the chin. And this can be quite an intense stretch, so you might enjoy that intensity today, or you might want to find something a little softer. From here, we'll start to move forward and back. So on your next inhale, starting to press into that left foot, squeezing through the glutes, opening up across the chest. As you exhale, moving back, lengthening through that front leg. So just keeping that going with your own breath. Again, maybe moving the hands forward and back, maybe keeping them still. But trying to flex that front foot back towards the shin in your runner's stretch. And then press through all four corners in your lunge. Last one, exhaling to move back. And then inhale back into your lunge. Taking a moment to readjust if you need it. And then tucking the back toes, squeezing the back knee up off the floor, setting up your foundation for your high lunge, so squeezing through the legs, pressing that back heel down. Then as you inhale, sweeping hands up, lifting the chest, nice long spine. And then exhale, hands coming down, pressing through the palms. And then as you inhale, sending that left foot high into your three-legged dog. Taking a moment to pause here, just to get your balance. Strong through the shoulders. Inhaling, lifting that left foot a little higher. Then as you exhale, sending that left knee towards the left elbow, bringing the foot down on the outside of the left hand. And again, take a moment to readjust, finding space for both shoulders on the inside of the left foot. So here we'll play again with those variations, so whatever works for you. Again, you can keep that back knee lifted, you can bring it down, toes tucked, toes pointed. But again, remembering squeezing through the legs, you don't want to be kind of sinking into the joints. Again, you can stay up on the forearms, you can stay up on the hands, come down to the forearms, go for a little bit of a mix and match. Again, if you want to play with opening up through that front hip, pressing into the right hand or forearm, bringing the left knee to the left, bringing the left hand to the left knee, starting to roll onto the outside of that front foot, pressing the hand away, but rather than just using that hand to move the knee, you want to use that arm to lengthen the spine in the opposite direction. Again, staying there for as long as you like. You can play with grabbing hold of the back foot, pressing into the right hand or forearm, inhaling, left hand, lifting up, squeezing that right foot in towards your glutes, catching hold of it, or just squeezing the foot, reaching the hand back. Again, that can give quite an intense stretch through that right thigh, so finding what works best for you. And just moving through these different variations, choosing one, giving yourself time if you need to counter it by rocking back. But we've got a few more breaths here, so just enjoying whatever position you're in, whatever sensations are coming up. And if they feel too intense or just not right, just back off a little and make it a bit more gentle. When you're ready, we'll start to move back to our downward dog. So pressing through the back toes, lifting the back knee, lifting up out of the shoulders, and then moving that left foot back into your downward dog. Pausing here for just a moment, so find that strong position, lengthen through the spine. And then when you're ready, bring the knees down into a tabletop. And then from here, we're going to come into a bit of a cobra. So we'll start to drop the hips down towards the floor, only coming down as low as you need, and you can also bend the arms if that's helpful. But here, engaging through the glutes, lengthening through the lower spine as well as the belly, pressing the tops of the feet into the floor, squeezing through the legs, rolling shoulders down, hugging elbows in. On your next exhale, lowering down to the floor, and then finding your way onto your back. Just taking a moment to settle in, maybe starting to bring the knees in towards the chest, give them a little squeeze. And then from here, we're going to hold on to the right leg, left foot either coming flat or sliding it away. Giving that right knee a squeeze in, and then keeping the left hand on the right leg, right arm falling out to the side, and then starting to guide the knee down towards the floor into a twist. The knee doesn't have to come down all the way. You can maybe rest it in your hand on a block. You might find that with a few breaths it starts to creep its way down. But find the right intensity of twists for you. You can play with rolling the right shoulder up, you can press it down, you can reach the hands apart, tuck them in. Play with looking over the different shoulders, maybe just up to the ceiling. But just starting to release any tension that you don't need, so maybe through that bottom leg, through the hands, the face. Just taking some nice deep breaths here. And if you're happy in your twist, you can stay here, or we can roll into our half frog. So for that, bringing the right hand over to floor on the left, and just starting to roll over onto the belly, having the right knee out to the side of you. You can play with sliding it towards the bottom of the mat, up towards the top. You might find that you need to have the hips lifted here. You might find that they can come down to the floor. And here you can stay up on the forearms, go for a little back bend like a Sphinx pose. You can just let the head soften down. And again, just playing with this position, seeing what works. If the hips are on the floor, maybe starting to engage through the glutes, just to open up the hip a little bit more. You can play with lengthening that right leg, you can keep it bent. But even if you are engaging through the glutes, then maybe wrap on the forearms. Just see if you can find softness anywhere. So even if it's just letting the neck relax and bowing the head. A few more breaths here. And then we'll get out of this position the same way we got in. So bringing that right hand onto the floor, bringing that left shoulder underneath you, coming back through your twist, maybe pausing for a moment, and then rolling onto your back. Bringing the knees into the chest, maybe shuffling over towards the left side of your mat for when we go the other way. Then holding onto the left knee, right foot flat or towards the bottom of your mat. Right hand to left knee, left arm just falling out to the side, and then guiding your way over into a twist. And again, give yourself time. You don't have to bring the knee down to the floor straight away. You don't need to bring it down at all. So it might feel slightly different on this side. So move gently. And again, maybe rolling that left shoulder up, maybe pressing it down, bringing the knee closer to the chest or further away. Again, just trying to find a little bit of softness, maybe through the feet, the hands. Taking a few more breaths. And of course, staying here, or if you want to roll into your half frog, bringing that left hand over towards the floor on the right, untucking that right shoulder and bringing the belly to face the floor. It might be different on this side, you might have more space or less space to get into it. So go gently, if you can, pressing those hips into the floor, staying up on the forearms, letting the chest and the head soften down. Playing with bringing that knee closer up towards the top of the mat, closer to the bottom, maybe lengthening through it. But we'll take a few breaths, so whatever you're doing, trying to find a little bit of softness, even if it's just in your face and your neck. If you're happy to stay here for a bit longer, feel free. But when you're ready to come out of it, bringing that left hand onto the floor, elbow pointing up, tucking that right shoulder down, rolling back through your twist, maybe pausing for a moment, but then finding your way onto your back. And we'll come into a Shavasana now. So whatever position feels best for you. It might feel nice to keep the feet flat on the floor, having them about the width of the mat and then letting the knees fall in. That might feel quite nice after opening through the hips so much. But if that's not quite right, feel free to take any position, legs long, and you can rest the hands, wherever's comfortable, on your belly, by your side, over the head. And when you have chosen your position, just letting the body soften into the floor, closing the eyes, bringing the attention back into the body, whether it's focusing on the breath, the heartbeat, particular sensation in the body. Just noticing what's going on and giving yourself a moment of peace. And of course, staying here for however long feels good to you. And when you are ready to move again, starting with the breath, really filling the belly up with air, feeling the tummy expand, and then lengthening your exhale, releasing the air as slowly as you can, maybe giving the tummy a little squeeze at the end to empty the lungs. And then just starting to move the body, maybe starting with the fingers and toes, moving up to the ankles and wrists. Just letting that movement make its way through the arms and legs, maybe all 4 limbs at the same time, maybe 1 limb at a time. Try to keep the eyes closed, don't worry about how you're moving or what it looks like, just seek out some really nice sensations. And then we'll make our way up into a seated position, but take your time, like you're getting out of bed. Lingering anywhere that feels particularly good. Then coming to a seated position, doesn't matter which way you're facing, how you're sitting, just so long as you feel comfortable and tall. So if you need to grab something to sit on or rest the lower back against. Then taking your time, maybe having a little sway side to side, a little bit of a shake through the shoulders. And then when you're ready, coming to stillness, floating the ribcage above the pelvis, softening shoulders and lifting the chin. And from here, take a big breath in, filling the belly up, reaching the hands all the way out, all the way up above you. And then exhaling, hands floating down, past the face, past the chest and into the lap. A couple more like that. Big breath in, lengthening through the spine, creating space between the vertebrae. And then exhaling, hands floating down, shoulders relaxing, but staying tall through the body. Last one, biggest breath yet. Making yourself big. Maybe taking an extra sip of air at the top. And then exhaling, hands floating down, maybe blinking the eyes open as they pass the face. And there we go. Thank you for joining me today. Hopefully you'll feel like there's a bit more space in your hips for you to be able to ease through the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.